got a lot of gear in here. Can you kind of walk me through, like, from the computer sort of in and out, like what you like to use when you mix, and maybe some special things that you love?
Let me move my chair right here. So it all starts right here. I still have the old trash can. Now this was the highest, you know, there were 3 of them. You know, Mac has always had generally their 3-tier thing, you know, the good, better, best. And so luckily that was the top end one. But by today's standards, it's you know, not quite up there with the newest ones, but it gets the job done. It really does. I can run, because I've got, if you'll see down here, I've got a 16-channel interface that I run every day, and I've got an extra 8 in and out with a 8 just out in a 192 that feeds the headphone system, you know, the Q system. And then down here I've got a HDX card and an Octo UAD. And then I also have an Octo satellite UAD that right now I have it down at Treasure Isle because I was using it to run reverbs during a recent orchestral session. I just don't run out of power. Even with a Mac, you know, a trash can, which those were designed in what, 2000, and yeah, I mean, they're getting old now. I just don't run out of power. Now I know there will be a day where I have to, you know, replace it, but for now it's holding up. And I've got a laptop system too, which my assistant currently has, because she's been bouncing a bunch of stems for a big thing where they want, it's just a ton of work that I don't have time to do. So that's not here today, but I just run a little Apollo, a 4-channel, because I wanted to be able to do an acoustic guitar or stereo keyboard plus a vocal. So I needed more than 2. So I got I think they call it the quad or the × 4. But
and then you're doing, so you've got the 192.
Okay, so the first interface is 16 channel. So that does a lot, but on true hybrid days, I'll turn on that second interface and I can get, you know, 8 more channels of this stuff.
Yeah.
Plus I can send 8 channels of Q to I've got the Behringer, I don't even remember what they're called. This is the brain right here, and then I got 2 or 3 of the you know, the module things. I hardly ever use them, you know, because I like to track downtown still. Man, I bought this used like 5 years ago. It's
Studio
Argosy.
Day? Oh, Argosy. Okay.
It's an Argosy, and you know, I don't even know that you can get this light gray color anymore. But I know for a fact it was originally designed for either you know, the Yamaha or the Mackie, the big Mackie thing. I can't remember what it was called. And the guy figured out that he didn't want that anymore. So he had a friend come in and modify it to where he got 2 extra bays of rack gear, and then with the spacer in the middle. And that actually really, really works well for me. I was having trouble with it. Using a lot of the gear that you see down here. I would love to have my stereo bus stuff up here, but I was having trouble with the VU meters being that flat. First of all, it put off a lot of heat because I had a lot of tube stuff, but the metering was so inaccurate that I was like, yeah, I ended up just kind of reevaluating everything and putting, you know, some of the gates and the locomotive audios and the LA2As and things like that down here that didn't have a VU meter. It just worked better for me. I've been using the Artist series from Avid, and they're great. I'm not here to down talk those whatsoever, but I kept dropping power supplies. I was down to 8 working faders, and I thought, okay, well, either I'm going to get into the Avid S1 or something else. And SSL had came out with these, which is great. I mean, the fader pack, you know, but what really sold me was the UC1. So they have and there's more to come, but there's currently a channel strip called the Channel Strip 2, which is like a 9000. And then a 4KB, which is a 4K. And I can actually hands-on the channel strips. So I can set my compressor here, my gate expander here, my EQ and filters here. And if I have any stereo bus compressors, I can, you know, set that here without mousing. And Andrew, I've done this for a long time, and Pro Tools has been a big part of my career, and my wrists hurt like a mother. I have a lot of just, repetitive stress injury kind of thing. And so when I thought, okay, you know what, if I like these SSL plugins, because I love, Brainworks, Plugin Alliance. I love their SSLs, and I was using those very heavily. This just makes sense for me. So I demoed their software, thought, man, this is really great. This is really good stuff. And so I bought one of each, made sure I liked it, and then I just added this one just, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I wanted 16 faders minimum, of whatever I really liked. And so I'm very happy with these, very happy with these.
And they're all connected, so you can kind of scroll through?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And dude, I mean, come on, a real VU meter for your bus compressor. I know do we absolutely have to have that? No, but it's still, it's fun. And I'm still a very tactical, can I mix completely with a mouse? Yes, I do it all the time. Yeah. But my main automation, when I have my way, is, of course it's mouse heavy because it's Pro Tools. It's what it has to be. But I still like to get a fader on anything that I consider emotional, lead vocal for sure. But even like synth pads and various, EBO guitars and stuff, I want to get my hands on it and feel it. You can breakpoint that, but there's nothing going to be the human emotion, the feeling of getting in there and digging. It's just a thing. And I feel like the end result shows the human emotion of a fader that a breakpoint don't, I still use a lot of breakpoint, I do. And I can mix with just that if I have to. I've done it long enough that I feel like I can still get the emotion that's inside of me, I can still get out even going, but it's just so slow compared to getting your hand on a fader. The Avid Artist Series, which has been replaced by the S1 and the S3, all that stuff is great too. No one needs to use anything that I use just because I use it. There's so many great alternatives out there. If you're not missing out on anything by having the Avid or the other company. There's multiple other companies, that make that kind of a thing.
Let's talk about speakers first.
Okay, my primary speaker, I'm a 3-way kind of guy. I mean, like 3 different sets. So the big speakers are the Atom S3Vs, wanting to try their horizontal version too in this room. But I've had these in there for several months and really have came to love them. So it's a 3-way. It's a 9-inch woofer, a mid-range, and a tweeter. It's the ribbon tweeter that they're known for, and they just sound great. But they're not overhyped to me. I don't want overhyped. Those U brackets come with the speakers, or maybe it's an add-on thing that you can add that on to your purchase. Clients are loving them in the tracking room, absolutely loving them. So I'm a big Atom fan, as you can tell. Inside of that, these are NS10s. I know they're blue, this color that's not blue but not green. Aquas and peacocks or whatever they call those colors. And so I never have ordered, you can get on eBay and order the Yamaha stickers, and I still want to do that, but originally I had a texture in mind. Instead of a solid flat color like this, I wanted to put a little bit of a gradient, not a gradient, I'm trying to think of the word, and I'm not smart enough, but I've never went back and added them because I had to get busy, and they've been sitting there ever since. In fact, they're probably stuck to the Orlex from the paint. So I've got speaker stands back here with this plywood on it to push the monitor and the NS10s far enough back. So I had to do that just to push everything back until I figured out if I wanted to keep these, which I figured out I do. so like I said, temporary becomes permanent. But and then over here, Aratones, the old vintage. These are the original oldies. These you'll notice are off to the side and pushed together. But what that does is it gives, it's all mid-range. There's no low end, there's no high end. I can flip over. I don't spend very much time on these at all, but I can flip over real quick and hear wide elements. Think of hard panned acoustics, if that's what's driving the song, hard panned power chords, whatever the case is that's wide versus those center elements. I mean, it's in your face. It's like, okay, in the mid-range, your electric guitar versus your lead vocal, is this powerful or not powerful? Like, there's no questions.